Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. In his later years, Zeng Guofan not only held the highest official rank in the Qing government but also commanded a massive army, successfully suppressing the large-scale Taiping rebellion. During this period, rumors circulated that Zeng intended to establish his own dynasty, overthrowing the Qing rule and seizing power. Some even believed he had all the necessary conditions to declare himself emperor. With just a decisive move, history might have been rewritten. However, when faced with such an opportunity, he resolutely refused to claim the throne. So why did Zeng Guofan give up an emperor's seat that seemed to be within his grasp? Early life and rise to power. According to historical records, Zeng Guofan was born in Xiang County, Changsha Prefecture, Hunan Province. Like many scholars of his time, he devoted himself to rigorous study from an early age. At the age of 28, he passed the imperial examination and became a jinshi, officially entering the civil service. Soon after, his mother passed away, prompting him to return home for mourning in accordance with Confucian traditions. It was during this period that the Taiping rebellion rapidly swept through Hunan, plunging the Qing dynasty into crisis. To protect the imperial court, Zeng Guofan decided to raise and train the Xiang army in his hometown, dedicating himself to quelling the Taiping rebellion, which had engulfed vast parts of China. In 1864, the third year of the Tongzhi reign, Zeng's Xiang army successfully captured the Taiping capital, Tianjin, modern-day Nanjing. This victory cemented his legacy, earning him the titles of Imperial Commissioner and Governor-General of Liangjiang. With an army of 300,000 troops, he wielded immense power, controlling nearly half of China. In comparison, his influence far exceeded that of Wu Sangui, the feudal warlord who had once ruled a significant portion of China during the early Qing period, making him a potential threat to the imperial court. The temptation of the throne. According to records from the general history of the Qing dynasty and the Grand View of Qing dynasty anecdotes, Zeng's younger brother, Zeng Guofan, and his trusted general Peng Yuan both encouraged him to declare himself emperor, hoping he would follow in the footsteps of Zhao Guanyin, the founder of the Song dynasty, who was famously urged to take the throne. On Zeng Guofan's birthday, Peng Yuan, then the governor of Anhui, wrote him a letter, subtly asking, "The southeastern half of the country is without a ruler. Does the master have any intentions?" Upon reading the letter, Zeng was so alarmed that he waved his hands frantically and repeatedly said, "This is nonsense. Nonsense." He then swallowed the letter whole to eliminate any trace of treasonous intent. His close friends Zongtang, the governor of Zhejiang, also tested him by gifting a calligraphic couplet that read, "The weight of the cauldron, could it be questioned?" Realizing the implied suggestion, Zeng quickly changed the word could to must not, signaling his absolute rejection of any imperial ambition before returning the couplet. Not only did his subordinates and friends urge him to claim the throne, but even figures from the Taiping rebellion suggested he establish his own rule. After his capture, Li Xiucheng, the loyal king of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, admitted. With 100,000 troops at his command, Zeng Guofan could easily be proclaimed emperor at any time. The three paths before him. After the fall of the Taiping Heavenly Kingdom, Zeng Guofan stood at a crossroads in his life, with three possible paths. Maintain his current power and continue expanding his influence. With his standing in the Qing court, he could have consolidated control and even rendered the imperial government powerless. Establish his own kingdom and rival the Qing dynasty. With an army of 300,000, he possessed the military strength to found a new dynasty. Voluntarily step back and relinquish his power. This was the most difficult path, requiring immense self-restraint and wisdom. Faced with overwhelming public pressure, what choice would Zeng Guofan make? Would he follow the tide and seize power, or would he withdraw at the peak of his influence? He decisively chose the latter. The wisdom behind his decision. Historical records indicate that after careful deliberation, Zeng penned a poetic couplet. Countless flowers bloom under the sky and above the sea, yet only the flowing water and lofty mountains know my heart. He understood the expectations of those around him, yet he refrained from an outright rejection. Instead, he responded through these 14 characters, expressing his stance subtly while discouraging any further ambitions from his followers. This strategic ambiguity was a brilliant maneuver. Soon after, he took proactive measures to dismantle the Xiang army and repeatedly petitioned the Qing court for retirement, demonstrating his unwavering loyalty and complete lack of imperial ambition. He was determined to be a minister of restoration, not a usurper of power. Why did he ultimately refuse the throne? Some may wonder. The Qing dynasty was already in decline, and Zeng Guofan held supreme power. Wouldn't it have been easy for him to overthrow the dynasty? So why did he abandon the throne when he was just one step away? Historians suggest the following reasons. 1. His personality and beliefs prevented him from usurping the throne. At his core, Zeng Guofan was a scholar deeply influenced by Confucian values. Having studied under the great late Qing Neo-Confucianist Tang Jian, he was instilled with a deep-seated loyalty to the emperor. When he founded the Xiang army, he did so with 4 key purposes. To protect Confucian traditions. To defend the Qing dynasty. To safeguard the interests of the elite class. To fulfill his own aspiration of serving as a minister of national revival, not a usurper. These fundamental beliefs shaped his decisions. Zeng Guofan placed great emphasis on self-cultivation and scholarly pursuits, being diligent in seeking instruction and deeply studying Neo-Confucianism. He held an unwavering belief in Confucian ideology. He believed that governing the nation should be guided by the Confucian orthodoxy, rather than seizing power through military force. His most distinctive trait was his caution and prudence. He carefully deliberated before taking action in all matters, especially when his achievements posed a threat to the emperor. At such moments, he exercised even greater restraint in his words and actions to avoid disaster. He frequently engaged in self-reflection, warning himself to never take a misstep, lest he bring ruin upon himself. Given his cautious nature, even if he were given 10 times the courage, he would not dare to rebel lightly. A thorough review of his family letters and diaries reveals that he never even mentioned the idea of proclaiming himself emperor, proving that such an ambition never crossed his mind. In ancient China, launching a rebellion was a high-stakes gamble. One misstep could lead to total annihilation, even implicating one's entire clan. This was a risk Zeng Guofan was neither willing nor bold enough to take. External circumstances did not allow Zeng Guofan to declare himself emperor. Even though the Xiang army had captured Nanjing, remnants of the Taiping forces, numbering around 300,000, were still active across the southern provinces. In the north, the eastern and western Yan forces were also stirring restlessly. If Zeng Guofan were to establish his own regime, he would inevitably face a two-front war, potentially plunging China into an even greater conflict. At the same time, the Qing court was already wary of Zeng Guofan. After the fall of Nanjing, Yuan, the governor-general of Hubei and Hunan, remained stationed in Wuchang, ready to march down the Yangtze at any sign of rebellion. Meanwhile, Feng Zicai's troops guarded the Yangzhou and Zhenjiang regions, firmly controlling the lower Yangtze and sealing off Nanjing. Additionally, the Qing Empire's formidable general, Zheng Rinchen, was watching closely, prepared to act at any moment. These strategic deployments were all designed to keep Zeng Guofan in check. If he had rashly declared himself emperor, he would have faced a multi-pronged siege, leading to widespread devastation, civilian suffering, and an even dimmer prospect for national unity. From this perspective, Zeng Guofan's decision not to proclaim himself emperor was not only an act of self-preservation but also a consideration for the country and its people. For this alone, he could be regarded as a meritorious statesman. The Xiang army was not a unified force, making an imperial claim impossible. Moreover, the Xiang army was not a monolithic entity, and Zeng Guofan lacked the necessary conditions to proclaim himself emperor. Although Li Hongzhang was a close protege of Zeng Guofan, his military forces were primarily from the Huai army rather than the Xiang army. If circumstances turned against Zeng, Li might have sided with the Qing court or even turned against him. Zhou Zongtang, who commanded troops in Zhejiang, was nominally on good terms with Zeng Guofan, but in reality, their relationship was strained. In a critical moment, Zhou might not have supported him. Similarly, Shen Baozhen was in a comparable position. Thus, the Xiang army had long since fragmented, with different factions acting independently. Expecting to use such a fractured force to establish his own kingdom was entirely unrealistic. Under these conditions, declaring himself emperor would have been suicidal. Understanding the risks, Zeng Guofan never acted recklessly, nor did he harbor ambitions of usurping the throne. History proved that Zeng Guofan made the right choice. In the end, history proved Zeng Guofan's decision was correct. He preserved both his life and legacy, earning widespread recognition as a paragon of virtue. In the 11th year of the Tongzhi reign, 1872, after years of tireless effort, Zeng Guofan succumbed to illness in Nanjing at the age of 61. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.